Well, we did not get an Oblivion Remake here in the 2025 January Xbox Direct, like that was leaked, like that was rumored behind the scenes. However, I still think this was a pretty good show, all things considered. And I want to go through some of the games I'm really excited about and why I thought it was a good showing and why I think a lot of these games releasing in the first half of this year is very beneficial for Xbox. And most importantly, at least to me, when the hell are they going to announce the Oblivion Remake? But before we get into it, thank you guys so much for 960 subscribers. We're almost at 1,000, so I really appreciate your guys' support over these last few months. If you are new to the channel, you like gaming news, gaming reviews, specifically for RPGs, action-adventure type of games, etc., please like and subscribe if you do like the video you see here. Now, let's get into the showcase. So starting off with the first announcement here, we had Ninja Gaiden 4, which from someone who hasn't really played a lot of the Ninja Gaiden games, I definitely played one when I was a kid. I don't even remember which one that was. I think this game looks pretty damn badass. You have a lot of fast-paced combat, relatively brutal, a brand new story, obviously moving away from Ryu and some of the other characters that you're going to be able to play, and I think it looks pretty damn good. On top of this, though, something that I thought was a very great reveal is that Ninja Gaiden 2, a full remaster in Unreal Engine 5 of that game, can now be played out of nowhere on Game Pass right now. They basically just completely released this, which I thought was pretty damn awesome. So not only are you getting announcements, but you're getting a brand new game here, a remaster at least of Ninja Gaiden 2 that you're able to play immediately starting when they announced it in the showcase. Now next here in this developer direct, we have a new game from Compulsion Games called South of Midnight. And if you guys don't know who this studio is, they're probably most known for We Happy Few, which is a relatively successful game. However, I know in my personal opinion, again, I haven't really necessarily played any Compulsion games. They're not my specific style, but they have a very good art style. They have very good music. The art direction in general for their games is generally very good. However, they lack on some things like the actual gameplay, it feeling relatively polished. On top of that, with any combat in their game doesn't necessarily always feel the best, and it kind of looks the same here with South of Midnight, although this game has a hopefully relatively good story. The music sounds very good. Obviously, the art style and the graphics and what they were going for here looks relatively promising. They didn't do much in terms of enticing me to play this game in regards to the gameplay, in regards to the combat and things like that, but overall, I think the audience that this game actually is approaching, the audience that this game is for, I think it would be a pretty good game for that audience, at least from what we've seen here. Now, the next game here, we have Expedition 33, and this one, I genuinely am the most fucking excited for. This one seems awesome. I genuinely feel like it stole the show, at least from my point of view in the games that I like to play, because this is going to be a game that is going to be a mix between turn-based and real-time combat. You're going to have a lot of JRPG elements that they're also trying to go for. That's why this studio was inspired in the first place. And the story on top of that seems pretty damn insane. They have something called a paintress that repaints the world every year and puts a number on how old people can get basically before they die. And if you're at that age or older, you immediately die. And these expeditions go and try to go and actually fight and kill the paintress, and that whole just idea and that whole storyline in general, I think sounds really damn cool. On top of this, this is a game with a beautiful art style, with a relatively good music score from what I saw. It looks like it has a lot of personality, both in the characters and the supporting cast here. All in all, this game seems to have a lot of passion and love poured into it from this developer, and it's something that I was not necessarily super excited for until I saw this, read up a little bit more about it in the last few hours, and it absolutely, at least in my opinion, is something I'm going to play, something I'm very excited about. I'm a huge RPG guy in general, and I am very excited to play this game and experience this world and what it has to potentially offer. And last but definitely not least, the second most game I am excited for is Doom: The Dark Ages, a prequel to the 2016 Doom, which I absolutely loved, as well as absolutely loving Doom Eternal as well. This game is going to bring you a lot more of that Doom fun that you probably know and love, a lot of crazy, badass, brutal, and gory moments, playing as the absolute godlike Slayer, just going through, crushing enemies in front of your way, using a lot more melee and medieval-inspired weapons. You have this shield that you can deflect, parry, throw, slice up enemies with. You also still have your guns on the side as well, and you have that amazing Doom soundtrack, the heavy metal soundtrack that goes so damn well with this game. So it's definitely aiming to bring a lot of what people loved about Doom and put it into more of a medieval Dark Ages type of experience where you can just go and blow enemies up with brand new weapons that are inspired from that time period. Now, I will say though, I don't like the new glory kills. They're not really animated anymore. They kind of look pretty bare bones. They don't look as good, gory, or satisfying, in my opinion, as they did in the past. So hopefully that's something I can get a little bit past when playing this game. That's the biggest bummer I probably saw in the experience in general. But overall, aside from that, the game looks awesome. You can ride a giant mech, fly on a dragon, have their own bosses when you have those with completely different abilities and movesets, and all in all, I think the game looks pretty damn badass. But of course, we did not get revealed what I was most excited for to hopefully see at this event, which was the Oblivion Remake. The secret game was that Ninja Gaiden 2 Remaster, the Black Edition, and we heard nothing from anything Bethesda or the Oblivion Remake in general. So when do I think this is actually going to be announced, since it wasn't announced today? Well, I think this is going to be coming in the summer showcase, in my opinion, or the summer direct, whatever they end up doing, and I think they're going to reveal a lot other big games here as well. Like I mentioned, a lot of these games were slated for the first half of the year, which, with the exception of Ninja Gaiden 4, which obviously you have Ninja Gaiden 2, the Black Edition, to play right now for free if you own Game Pass. Now, why do I think they're doing this? Well, obviously to get away from the biggest game of this year, one of the most anticipated games of all time, Grand Theft Auto 6, which is potentially coming in fall of 2025, and that's where everybody thinks it's slated as of right now, unless it gets delayed or something happens there. And if they have games ready, like Doom the Dark Ages, that Xbox needs to perform very well. If that game is ready, there's no reason to release it anywhere near Grand Theft Auto 6. It's going to completely destroy sales of pretty much any game that releases around that time. Now, they might run the risk now of a game like Oblivion Remake selling less if that's going to be released later in this year, but I think it's probably better to slate a remake or a remaster of a game around a time of a gigantic game like Grand Theft Auto 6, or even push it to 2026, which I hope they don't do, but I think that makes more sense from them than one of these new IPs or one of these big games like Ninja Gaiden 4 or Doom the Dark Ages, huge games in very established franchises that they need to sell and do very well. But you know what would be badass, and I'm going to throw out a prediction here. I don't think it's going to happen. It hasn't been leaked. It hasn't been rumored by anyone except for me right here. You know what would be badass? We come around to the summer and they say, Bethesda, reveal your new Starfield DLC. Cool, whatever. But on top of that, remember what we did with Ninja Gaiden 2, the Black Edition, where you could play it immediately on Game Pass? This is a remaster in Unreal Engine 5 of a really good game that people used to love back in the day. We're going to do the same thing with Oblivion. Oblivion Remake, Unreal Engine 5 Edition, play it now on Game Pass. That would be insane. This would go off exactly what they just did with an established IP like Ninja Gaiden with the remaster that you can play day one free on Game Pass when they announced it. And if they did the same thing in the summer, I think a lot more people would play this game in the summer than right now during the school year and everything like that, when people are working, not going on vacation, etc. I think the summer's a great time to reveal this game. And on top of that, they already revealed and had Starfield day one on Game Pass. So I originally was thinking, no, they're not going to want to put this on Game Pass immediately when they release it or immediately when it's announced, because obviously they're going to want to charge probably $40, $60 for this game. However, they already did it with a Bethesda game, one that was one of the biggest new IPs that we've ever seen in Starfield. Granted, it didn't turn out the way we all wanted it to turn out, but doing this with Oblivion, I think, makes sense. And on top of that, it would still get away from the Grand Theft Auto 6 reveal, and it would probably break the internet. But all in all, it's probably just a bunch of copium from a biased Elder Scrolls fan who absolutely loved Oblivion and wants to play this remake. And I'm also extremely excited for Sky Oblivion, and both of these we're going to have by the end of the year, hopefully, with Sky Oblivion looking badass and obviously the Oblivion Remake sounding extremely badass, but we obviously don't know if it's actually going to be what we're hoping it's going to be as of yet. In my opinion, the showcase probably was around the B grade even without that announcement. I'm extremely excited for games like Doom the Dark Ages, even more excited for Expedition 33, which this Direct definitely got me even more excited for this game. It's one of my most anticipated games in the next coming months now. So overall, I liked the showcase. I thought it was relatively good. Down below in the comments, please let me know what you guys would grade this showcase. What are you most excited for? If you didn't like the showcase, why didn't you? What are you least excited for here? And why do you think they didn't announce the Oblivion remake? Do you think it's just not ready yet? Do you think they're holding this off for the summer? Do you think my prediction about it is right? And even, are you excited for it or not? Let me know down below in the comments. Like this video if you liked the video, and subscribe for more content like this. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace!